What are the long-term consequences of doubled pawns? Have you ever wondered how doubled pawns can impact your chess game over time? Let's break down the long-term consequences of this structural feature. Doubled pawns occur when two pawns of the same color sit on the same file, often as a result of a capture. This situation can lead to several challenges as the game progresses. First, let's talk about structural weakness. Doubled pawns cannot defend each other, making them vulnerable to attacks. This lack of mutual support can create lasting weaknesses in your pawn structure. This is especially true in the endgame when pawn strength becomes critical. Next, consider the difficulty in creating passed pawns. A passed pawn is one that has no opposing pawns blocking its path to promotion. Doubled pawns make it harder to achieve breakthroughs that lead to passed pawns. Since they are clustered on the same file, they struggle to advance effectively together. In addition, doubled pawns can become easy targets for your opponent's pieces. They often representing weak squares and points of attack. The upper pawn in the doubled pair is usually more exposed, forcing you to commit valuable resources to its defense. Mobility is another factor to consider. Doubled pawns can restrict the movement of your own pieces, especially rooks and bishops. They block open or semi-open files and diagonals, limiting your tactical and strategic options in the middle game and beyond. However, there can be some potential positional compensation. Sometimes, doubled pawns can open a file for a rook, allowing 4 active piece play along that file. In certain situations, they may control important squares and help defend key points or launch attacks. Some openings even accept doubled pawns in exchange for other strategic benefits. Finally, let's look at endgame considerations. The weaknesses of doubled pawns become more pronounced with fewer pieces on the board. The inability to support each other and the challenge of creating passed pawns can be decisive disadvantages. Yet, if your opponent cannot effectively exploit these weaknesses, doubled pawns may not be a significant liability. In summary, the long-term consequences of doubled pawns typically involve structural weaknesses that affect defense, mobility, and the ability to create passed pawns, especially in the endgame. However, these consequences can sometimes be turned into advantages depending on the position and piece activity. Recognizing when doubled pawns are a liability or an asset is an important skill in understanding positional imbalances in chess.